Hey everybody, it's Christine up today with Blvd, and I am scrap lifting an old layout of mine using Blvd. And so I actually decided to scrap lift a layout that I made back in 2018, and it ended up being one of my favorite layouts that year. And instead of just taking one part of the scrap lifting or taking the layout and scrap lifting the overall technique or whatever, I decided to just go full blown and kind of make a sequel layout, if you will. So this layout, and I will link you to it to check out the previous one, was about my son's love of popsicles. And what I did is I made a whole bunch of popsicles, just hand cut them. So I'm showing you right now how I am going to go about doing it in this layout. Now, I don't remember how I did it the first time around. I just remember that I hand cut them. But you can definitely refer back to the old layout and see which technique you like better. So what I did for today was I just took that circle and I used that to make a rounded top and then just cut straight down. Very simple and straightforward. I did about 1 3/4 inch circle for my top, so not super wide, but not super small also. Using the same patterned papers, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the word popsicle. What I did is I used the John font on my Silhouette Cameo, and I created the word popsicle, just welded the letters together. And then I am using the inside piece to cut out patterned papers. This is not a super precise technique, so if you want to avoid any possible errors, it's probably best to cut out the inside with your patterned papers, but I just did not have the time at this point to sit down and cut each of those out on my machine. So it was quicker for me to go ahead and just trace and cut. So what I'm trying to determine now is which colors I want to use and how I want to line them up, because I don't want the whole title to be the same color. In the end, I decided to eliminate the green because I felt like it just wasn't working quite as well for me as I wanted it to. So I just went with that aqua blue and the red and the orange and the yellow instead. And then I am going to use those same colors on all of my popsicles, and that will be the basis of coloring for my layout. Now on my first layout, I used a white background. Today I opted for this darker royal blue background, just to change things up. As I've mentioned before, I don't love to use white as my background, and so I had this blue paper which coordinated nicely with my pictures, and so I decided that would be the way I would go for today. Now I'm going to start to adhere my popsicles on there. I am just going to create a line of them along the bottom. Some are going to be slanted, some are going to be higher, some are going to be lower, some are going to have dimensional adhesive behind them, some are going to be flat. All of these things will play into giving it a light and whimsical feel. And the only real thing I'm paying close attention to making sure is that I don't use too many of one color or the same color next to the other one. Other than that, I am just kind of letting loose a little bit and not worrying about how perfectly straight. No T-ruler involved in this process today. And just getting them on there. Same process I used last time. Now, last time I did a rainbow approach, and so I had rainbow colors within, and I did my popsicle sticks in kind of a craft color. Today, I didn't think the craft would quite work the way I wanted it to, and I knew I wanted some pops of white on the layout. So I opted for white popsicle sticks today instead. Now, as you're looking at this, you'll see my pictures come out here in just a minute. My son has a whole pile of popsicles on his lap, and it was a similar thing in the previous one. One of the things we have done on his birthday is we go in and let him pick out boxes of popsicles for however many birthday numbers it is. So like in this picture, he was turning 6, and so he has 6 boxes of popsicles. The year before he had 5 boxes of popsicles. So I just thought, since I had similar pictures, similar idea, I thought it would be really fun to make a sequel layout. I have never done anything like this. I have never copied it pretty much exactly. So that was kind of a fun spin on things. That said, it's not something I'd want to do all the time, because it was not quite as don't know if enjoyable is the right word, but it wasn't quite as much fun to do it this way because I kind of already knew where I was going. So it took some of the creative process out of it, which is a big part of the fun for me. But it's also going to be fun to have these next to each other and look at them. So, you know, it's just part of the thing. Definitely would not want to do it all the time, but it was fun to do it one time. As you can see, it is coming together with the popsicles. I am going to add on to my base. I like the blue, but I want some more going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mat the blue all the way around with just plain white cardstock. And then I'm going to use this fun star paper that actually comes from the Santa Squad collection to mat that even further and provide a border around it. Both of those will allow those colors to be brought in an even richer way and also allow me to just add a little bit more to the layout than I had going on at this point. Now, adhering detailed titles like this is always a little tricky, and I have a couple different adhesive approaches that I like to use. One of those is using the Easy Runner Grand with the permanent dots adhesive. But what I'm actually going to do today is I'm going to use both the permanent dots and the repositionable dots. So I put some of the repositionable dots onto the back of the outline part. And I'm going to add that on so that I can position my backed pieces, my patterned paper pieces, onto the layout. And then I will go back and secure the outline with a permanent adhesive. So right now this will pull up pretty easily, but will stay in place for what I need it to do. And I'm just going to secure each of those backed pieces into where I want them to go. And I am playing with the colors, positioning. I will make some changes later on, just kind of figuring out, okay, does that work? And like right off the bat, I realized I was starting with an orange popsicle and an orange P on the letters, and it was too much overlap. So I switched my P's around to have the yellow one go first and then the orange one go second instead. And that's just, part of the process. Again, I might have even had to cut another one out, but I decided not to in this case. But just kind of figuring out, like if I had been more careful with my popsicles in the beginning, I would have known that was going to happen. But it's just part of the process. Quick adjustment here and there, and you will be ready to go. Now, the patterned papers in this layout are from all different collections, just as they were in my first one. I literally just tore into my stash to see what I had that I thought I wanted to use. As I mentioned earlier, that yellow one is from the Santa Squad collection. I've got some Blvd's freehand graphs and dots in there. I've got some Let's Go on an Adventure in there. I've got some Home Sweet Home. I've got some, there's one more, Squeeze the Day in there as well. So all different patterned papers. And again, it just goes to show you how well Bella Boulevard's papers work together from collection to collection. That is one of her goals as she creates them, is that you can pull one from another collection and make it work within the newer collections. So that is a fabulous quality. Makes it really easy to dig into your stash without worrying about if they're going to match or not. We are going to jump ahead and finish things off. So I've added a couple of orange letters from the wonky alphabet for Mr. And I added the word still, which I cut out on my electronic cutting machine. And then I'm adding on some heart hugs throughout. And those are going to be really my main embellishment. On my original layout, I used some puffy hearts on the popsicles. Today, I'm going to use red heart hugs. I'm also going to position those up around the title and the picture to create a visual triangle and help you get your eyes focused where they need to be. You can see I also tucked a few pieces of patterned paper underneath the pictures up top there to bring some color in up at the top. So there you have it, a pretty simple, straightforward layout. As I said, I didn't have to do a whole lot of thinking on this because I'd already done one previously. Do check out the old video if you didn't catch it the first time around. And thank you so much for being here today. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, and we will catch you later on in the week. Have a great rest of your day.